Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV.
And I'm Lynn, your co-host.
Let's secure, foresee, and get underway. All home businesses run into roadblocks that prevent them from growing and succeeding in their most important areas.
They'll need to overcome obstacles and get help in achieving key goals. In short, they need a business accelerator.
That's where April Sprint, founder of Driven Outcomes, comes into play.
April doesn't coach nor consult. She is developing a whole new category of business development that gets clients to their goals faster.
Her accelerator techniques can help any home business owner to focus in on the key goals and grow their businesses.
So greetings, April Sprints. Welcome to our show.
Hi there. Great to be here.
Thanks for coming on it.
Hey, thanks for dialing in. So you are connecting in from Atlanta?
I am.
I think this is our 50th guest from the Atlanta area. Something that must be like definitely the startup hub of the South or entrepreneurial hub.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, April, you had a really successful career in both the military and the corporate world. What led you to leave that success to form your own company?
So I realized when I was in both of those that I kept doing the same things. I was helping turn around divisions that were failing or growing divisions really quickly. And once I was done with that work, I was kind of bored. And so I'd either want to go into another role or to another company. And I realized I could actually help a lot more people if I had my own company, and I'd get that excitement of helping all those different businesses. So it seemed like a logical next step.
So were you kind of seeing a common need that businesses had in your consulting work that would translate over into starting your own business?
So I wasn't a consultant. I was in different corporate fields in finance and manufacturing and things. And it was very similar. It was always a matter of going in, organizing things and getting things running in a different way really quickly. So I was repeating the same process, almost preparing for having my own company.
I bet that military background helped a little bit too, because it just gives you a perspective on kind of tearing apart the big picture and seeing how things work and, kind of reorganizing things.
Absolutely. And a lot of great thoughts on leadership and processes came from my time in the military.
Yeah, we always follow those procedures. First, we got to figure out what they are. There comes a time in any business when they will need acceleration. April, how is business acceleration different from traditional consulting?
So the biggest difference in what I do is that I don't charge by the hour, and people aren't paying me to regurgitate what their employees said to them. And there are great consultants, but that was my experience with a lot of them. So my business and what I do with each of my clients is very unique to each of those clients, but we agree on metrics and a time frame on the onset. And my job is done when those things are done, not when they have paid me a certain amount or I've run out of hours.
So you kind of have a different approach on that, where you're away from billing per hour and you're looking more at outcomes then.
Absolutely. Want to be held accountable because my clients do better when they're held accountable. And so I should do the same.
Yeah, I like that. Like a lot of consultants do seem to, regurgitate what the client tells them. I like, that's a good way of putting it. And one of the reasons I think why traditional consulting doesn't work.
I would agree. There are great people in that field, but it's like other fields where they get a bad name because of a few that are doing things that just aren't as helpful to businesses as they could be.
Okay, well, sales is a big part of your acceleration message. April, what do the top 1% of sales professionals do that you should do?
I think the biggest thing that the top 1% of sales professionals do is they listen and they care. And that really comes out. What I've seen in my career over many, many years, and even for myself when I was in sales, is you can teach people to sell, but you can't teach them to care. And the people who care time and time again were outperforming those folks that were, always be closing and let's get that deal and let's do those processes. So if you really listen to and care for your prospects and your clients, the money and the sales will just take care of itself.
So in a way, the client picks up on whether or not you really care about them. So you're saying, if you're just ABC, always be closing, even though you don't mean for it, it's going to come through to the client, and they also need to see that caring in there also.
Oh, absolutely. Because clients can feel your intent. And if you think about it, anytime you've gone to buy something and someone puts on that hard sell, it feels gross and you just want to back away. But when someone actually wants to help you, like if you have questions, let me know, that feels good. We all want to buy, but we don't want to be sold.
What do you think of the term like consultative selling? You're weaving in there, those key things about advice. Is that, can that be helpful where you're kind of, consulting with them when you're also selling?
So I think that works if you do more listening and less talking. So the consultative part is absolutely awesome if you're letting them do most of the talking, because your client or prospect is going to tell you the most important things to them. But if you're not listening because you're giving your sales pitch, you're going to miss how you can really help them.
Yeah, that's such a key point in that, yeah, you have to start off with a sales pitch, but you don't want that to drive the whole process. You got to eventually turn it over to who you're selling to and make sure you truly understand what their needs are.
Absolutely. And I disagree with you, Richard, and say you shouldn't have a pitch. You should say, so what are you struggling with right now? What is your biggest issue? And then if your product or service solves that, great. If it doesn't, then direct them to someone who can and will.
That's a good point. Well, let's look at your past clients. What is the biggest thing your most successful clients have in common?
So the thing that all of them have in common that have been really successful is an ability to adopt what I like to call a generosity culture. And basically that's the idea of giving value to whoever they're interacting with, whether that be a client or prospect or even their own team members, and just really giving in the beginning without the idea of what's coming back. Because again, when you put that out there, all of the things, the results, the loyalty from the folks in your business, the loyalty and purchasing from prospects and clients, that just comes. So any of my clients that have really focused on developing that kind of culture have had tremendous success that really showed financially and with their company's culture.
I think what you're talking about also with giving, I think it might be easier for a home business or a smaller business, to make that connection and communicate that giving, because it's smaller, so it's a more personal interaction.
Absolutely. And people like to say it's not personal, it's business, but all business is personal. So those home-based businesses really understand that. And I think that's why people gravitate towards them, because they are higher touch and they feel more cared about.
I love quotes here. Can I steal your quote? All business is personal.
Sure.
That's a good point to get. That's a good point to emphasize with our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
April, what is one simple trick that can get you to your business goals 50% faster?
Okay, I love this one. It is literally to imagine yourself doing it backwards. And I've done this since I was a little kid. I used to get in trouble for doing mazes backwards in school because they said I was cheating. So I was like, how are you cheating? I'm not doing anything different than anyone else. But the way that it works for your goals is just by putting yourself at the end and envisioning what that would be like, you can then walk yourself backwards to the very beginning. And when you encounter what would look like a big obstacle, if you were going forward in it, it's just like, oh yeah, I got to watch out for that because that could be something that I've got to plan for. Okay, great. And then once you've gone through that one time in your mind, you already have increased confidence about achieving the goal because you feel like you already had to an extent. So I love that trick.
Yeah, I can see some of that military training coming through here, because I just remember that, thinking through the plan and seeing where you're going and projecting. And, that's all part of the training and preparation process.
Absolutely.
Well, you have to be able to project where your business is going. April, what are the two biggest predictors of success in a business?
For me, I always measure anyone that I'm going to work with, any business, any entrepreneur, on aptitude and attitude. And aptitude is really just, how good are they at what it is that they're trying to do? And the great thing about aptitude is it can be learned. Whatever you need, you can gather those skills. People can teach you. The second, and arguably, in my opinion, the most important, is attitude. Because I can train skills. I can never train an attitude. So if somebody has that attitude of, I can figure it out, I can make this happen, I really care, they are always going to be more successful than other folks.
Well, April, what is the number one piece of advice you'd give to our listeners who want to start their own home-based business?
So the biggest thing I would say is to find the thing that you're passionate about. And people say that all the time, so it can seem kind of weird, like, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Here's how you know. When the idea of getting up to work on your business every day pulls you out of bed, like, oh gosh, I'm excited about this. Oh, I can't wait to do this, versus, all right, well, it's time to get up again. That's something that you're passionate about. Or if someone asks you a question and you could just talk on and on about it, you're passionate about it, you care. If you go after a business where you feel that way, everything will be easier. Obstacles that would normally get you down will just feel like small little road bumps, and you'll always feel energized to accomplish what you're looking to with your business.
So you talk about that passion. I mean, some businesses are small, even smaller ones are more established, and maybe they've kind of gotten into a rut. Any advice on, rekindling that passion? Should they look at maybe, diversifying into a new business, starting up a new angle, going after a different client? I'm just, kind of thinking out loud here. What are maybe some ways to rekindle that passion?
Sure. So a couple things. The first thing I would say is think back to when you started your business and why, and what really got you excited about it, and try and recapture some of those feelings. And sometimes people just move on and they've done so much in one area of business, they might need to add a different line of business or diversify to get excited again. A great thing to do that doesn't cost you any money is to talk with another entrepreneur about why you started your business and just objectively trade ideas, because that can get your creative juices flowing. Being a home-based business or an entrepreneur can be lonely sometimes. And sometimes what people are looking for, even more than passion in their business, is just more connection. So finding other entrepreneurs in your area that you can meet with and talk to can help renew some of that passion.
That's a great idea. Can you even make some of those connections, say, through social media, or even, get on a Zoom broadcast? It seems like you're right here in the room with us. And you're in Atlanta, we're up here in the Twin Cities. You don't have to actually, if you're smaller at a home office, you can make a connection just like we're doing.
Absolutely. And, people always talk about masterminds and paying to join those groups. There are so many free resources and free groups. I really encourage small businesses to find those, whether they be, like you said, in the social space or in person, because there's lots of them out there.
Well, April Sprint, it's been a great discussion on your acceleration techniques. Do you, and finding greater success, do you have any final points you'd like to share?
I would say anyone who's interested in learning more about this, I have lots of free resources on my website, downloads, worksheets, videos, and I'd love people to come and take a look at them, because that's my way of giving back, if I can help you just a little bit with whatever you're working on with your business.
Take advantage of those resources that are there. Well, April Sprint, thank you for being such a great guest on the Home Business Podcast.
To learn more about April Sprints and her business accelerating, visit drivenoutcomes.com or our podcast website for more information on guests.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, homebusinessmag.com.
Visit the website for information on advertising. Subscribe to our newsletter. Please visit our sponsors. For more information, visit homebusinessmag.com or the expo at homebusinessexpo.com.
I'm Richard Captain Henderson saying anchors away.
We'll talk with you soon. Until then,
make it a great home-based biz day.